what I'm excited to see.
We don't know who's going to be quarterback for the Saints, but we also don't know who's going to be quarterback for their opponent, the Packers. Because speaking of the Packers, reports say in recent months, Green Bay offered Aaron Rodgers a long-term extension that would make him the highest-paid quarterback, but he turned it down. Another report says the reigning MVP has talked to several different players about joining him elsewhere, but the Packers have zero plans to trade him. Regardless of those reports, I know this much. Aaron Rodgers is not going to end up in Green Bay this coming season, because once you fall out of love with someone or something, it's hard to fall back in love with that person or that thing. And it's become abundantly clear that Aaron Rodgers has fallen out of love with the Green Bay Packers. You heard murmurs from teammates that Aaron Rodgers wants out. You've heard murmurs from staff that Aaron Rodgers wants out. And now we've heard the reports that Aaron Rodgers refuses to play in Green Bay. As I look at it, Aaron Rodgers, does he have enough leverage to not play in Green Bay? Well, it's real simple. Leverage in life is always dictated by your options. So what are Aaron Rodgers' options? Oh, he could go host Jeopardy! You know, that game show that pays its host roughly $10 to $20 million? But if your host is a future Hall of Fame NFL quarterback, you can assume that'll be on the high side, closer to $20 million. If Aaron Rodgers plays for the Packers this year, real money, he'll make $22 million. You don't think Aaron Rodgers would give up $2 million to prove a point? You don't think Aaron Rodgers could make up $2 million in endorsements? If you don't think so, think again. For me, Aaron Rodgers ends up elsewhere this season. Now, Bucky Brooks is back with us, but Sam, I gotta go to you first. How do you think this saga will end with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay?
Emmanuel, you talk about love. You talk about love. And yes, when you fall out of love, it's hard to fall back into love. But we're brothers, right? We hang out. We've been knowing each other forever.
Correct.
We argue, we fight, we disagree.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, that love is thick. It stays. We're here. We're together. That's what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. Yes, they may be in a little bit of a spatter. They might have a little bit of a conversation, an argument, a fight. But Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere. This dude is staying in Green Bay. Let's go back about 2-3 months ago to Russell Wilson. Remember the saga with Russell Wilson? He wanted out of Seattle. He wanted his own way. He wanted a little bit more control. And you know where Russell Wilson is right now? He's back in Seattle. Let's go back to what happened with Tom Brady on the other hand. So, because I know people may say, well, what's the issue? Well, Tom Brady wanted that control. And Tom Brady went to Tampa and got that control. All Aaron Rodgers wants and all that he's going to get is a little tiny bit of more control, probably get a player or two who he wants back on the roster, but he's going to have all that back in Green Bay.
Bucky Brooks, how you think the saga ends with Rodgers and the Packers?
Well, Rodgers is going to stay with the Packers, but I think the Packers are going to give him a makeup package, meaning they'll sweeten the pot. They will give him the contract extension that he wants because really, I told you, it comes down to the money thing. He has been surpassed when it comes to the money. We're looking at Dak Prescott and Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson making more money than he is. He wants to be in that group. Also, the Packers have to make amends when it comes to communication. They have to make sure that he and the general manager and even the president, Mark Murphy, they have to be on the same page when it comes to having open and honest dialogue. But make no mistake about it, the Green Bay Packers don't want Aaron Rodgers to go anywhere. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have enough leverage to force himself out of the door. This will be a negotiation that goes into the summer, but I think at the end of the day, number 12 is going to run out the tunnel, a Packer, and it's going to be go Pack go like it's always been for the last 16 years.
But here's the thing, fellas. We all know that some things money just can't heal. Now, maybe I watch too many soap operas. Maybe y'all know better than I. But if a significant other cheats on you, you could buy him a purse. You could up the ante. You could buy him a car. But they not going to forget that in the back of their head, you stepped out on them. The Packers, they stepped out on Aaron Rodgers, y'all. They found love in Jordan. And at the end of the day, yeah, they could try to show Aaron Rodgers a little bit more money. They could buy him the purse. They could buy him the car. But Aaron Rodgers has not forgotten, regardless of what the general manager says in comments as recently as 2 days ago, Jordan Love still has a long way to go. Aaron Rodgers hasn't forgot. The Packers stepped out on him. It's over. It's done. They're out of love. Sam, you brought up some great points. You brought up Russell Wilson. The issue with Russell Wilson is he had no leverage. Where's Russell Wilson going to go? He can't retire unless he wants to retire, but he's also married to Sierra, who's just a small global star. So what's Russell Wilson about to do? Can't do that. Aaron Rodgers, on the flip side, he can retire. Because if he were to retire, he's just retiring to another $20 million gig. There really aren't any other comps that you can make in regards to Aaron Rodgers. Sam, I know you've had these conversations before because I've had these conversations before in NFL locker rooms. And maybe we've had these conversations together.
Maybe.
There comes a point in time where you say, hey, big dog, how much would somebody have to give you to retire? Like right now, how much would you have to make? I think we had this conversation. If not, I know you've had it in the locker room. And there's always a monetary amount. It doesn't really matter how successful you are in your career. There's always a monetary amount that you have in the privacy of your locker rooms with your locker neighbors of, man, if somebody offered me a job with $3 million right now, I'm done. For me, I only needed about $600,000 because I was on practice squad. I said I'm done. Aaron Rodgers has what so many NFL players joke about in locker rooms because they never have the opportunity to get another high-profile, high-paying job that would give him the opportunity to be done. Unless the Packers somehow, some way, get rid of Jordan Love or at least commit to Aaron Rodgers, Bucky Brooks in a manner that says they are done with Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers is done with them.
Emmanuel, you talk a lot about money. Mm-hmm. You talk a lot about money. You got the suits, you got the watches, you got the shoes, right? I mean, you've been looking good for a really long time. You talk a lot about money, but for some people, like me, it's not always about money. Sometimes it's about your options or maybe yet control. Let's put it this way. My last year in Tampa Bay, I finished the season with Bruce Arians the year before the Super Bowl. I really enjoyed my time in Tampa Bay. And yes, I'd played 9 years in the NFL, so I'd made a good amount of money. My decision when I talked to me and my family, it wasn't about how much money can this team pay me, right? Because everybody has a number. It doesn't matter. Once you get 20 million, what is 30? What is 40, right? Everyone has a number. For me, it was more about the opportunity. I wanted to go to a team. If I was going to go back to Tampa, I needed my family there with me in Tampa. I wasn't going to do the whole traveling thing and COVID. Or I was going to go back to Chicago, where I played 4 years. I wanted to be in a city that I knew, that I loved. The money didn't matter. It was about my options. And even in Aaron Rodgers' case, it's about the control. Aaron Rodgers does not need more money. Once you have that many M's in your bank account, you don't need no more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't need no more M's in your bank account. What Aaron Rodgers wants is control of the roster. And that's the sticking point. The only sticking point here is, will Green Bay give Aaron Rodgers the control that he wants? The Russell Wilson example, I get it. You know, he went back and you say it's apples and oranges. But the difference here is this. Green Bay may not give Aaron Rodgers exactly what he wants because Green Bay is thinking long-term, not 5 years, not even 3 years. They're thinking the next 7 to 10 years, where will our team be? And so, Aaron, if you want more money, we'll give you more money for a year, 2, 3. But we're not giving you a 10-year contract like we gave Patrick Mahomes over in Kansas City. You're not getting that. So, yes, we'll give you a bigger salary if that's what you want. We'll give you a little bit of control, but it's not always about the money. And that's what Aaron Rodgers has shown in this example.
No, I think that's a great point. I think it's really valid when you talk about the money, because the money in the league, let's be honest, it's about the respect factor, right? It's not about how much currency he's really putting in his bank account, but it's how much do they value him in terms of, we're going to make you the highest paid at the position. I think the bigger thing, and I think this actually plays in the Packers' favor, what does Aaron Rodgers want his legacy to be? Because we can talk about him being a Hall of Fame player. We can talk about him being one of the best to ever play. But he has been talked about as an all-time great, maybe the greatest thrower and passer that we've ever seen. But yet when we look at his resume, he has one Super Bowl. And so does he want to go out where he walks away from the game in a dispute with the team that has really afforded him the opportunity to be viewed as one of those legendary figures? I think the competitiveness in Aaron Rodgers won't allow him to just simply walk away from the game in retirement. He may try and use retirement as a leverage ploy to maybe get out. But I think at the end of the day, he wants to play. He wants to be viewed as an all-time great, maybe in the class of Tom Brady. And the only way for him to do that is to keep playing. And I think the way that it is now, the only way for him to play and the only place for him to play is in Green Bay, because they hold the cards when it comes to Aaron Rodgers being able to get out of the door.
It's all about levers and leverage. That's what it's all about. So we talk about this idea that Tom Brady could leave, and maybe he could leave at 37 in his prime, coming off of an MVP season, and maybe he goes and hosts Jeopardy. But Aaron Rodgers knows his leverage. He understands what he has, so he's going to use what he has. And I saw it back when we were negotiating for a new collective bargaining agreement. He walked into meetings with owners and said, hey, this is what I need. I'm Aaron Rodgers. This is what I need, and this is what our entire league needs. He understands his leverage, and so he's not going to walk away and leave his legacy behind. He's trying to build up a dynasty, not only for his bank account, but also for his last name.
But legacy, it comes down to championships. Aaron Rodgers got one chip so